I want to talk about your time in... Let's try it again. I can
No,
tell.
this is it. This is part of it. Give it to me.
Oh my god. Really? You didn't make that?
Well, you would have had a little hair the whole time.
No,
Now
thank you.
don't.
No, that's not going in there.
Oh, it's there.
No, this is...
It's right here. If you like Nick's hair, press subscribe.
Hey, man.
No, just kidding. Go ahead.
Oh. You want to get hold of yourself? Child? This is the first episode of Local Legacy, a series in which we talk to long-standing members of the local music scene, their own personal journey, and their impact on the scene as a whole. I'm here today with Robby Bancroft of Five Characters Search of an Exit fame, as most of you probably know. So, Robby, I want to start off by asking you, I want to know how you ended up getting into music. Did you just enjoy yelling into a microphone? Did you start out with piano lessons? Like, how exactly was it an introduction by a family member?
It was actually, I wish it was those two cool things, but growing up, never had any lessons or anything like that. The last thing I ever thought was that I'd be in a band. I thought I'd be like a baseball player or something, or a firefighter. I think I wanted to be a cop when I was little, But always loved music, always around it. And I'd say one particular story that I do tell people when they ask me this question is I was in my sophomore or junior year Spanish class, and I always like to sing the Spanish songs. And I think I was singing Heroes by Enrique Iglesias or something like that, just fucking around, And all of a sudden this kid's like, hey, my friend's band's looking for a singer, you should try it. And I was like, yeah, right, never, I'm doing leadership or, planning the prom or playing football, like I said, the last thing would ever be music, I always envied those people in the bands, I always wanted to be the band guy, but I never thought that'd be possible. And that day after school, in the drama department or the drama room, they were practicing. I went there. I don't even want to admit what songs they sang, but I want to say it was a Blink-182 song that I knew, maybe a No Doubt song, because they were kind of punkish, the band. And then the last song I sang was probably an NSYNC song or something. And needless to say, the journey continued, and now Five Characters came. But that's a lot longer story. But initially, yeah, it was a Spanish class singing Enrique Iglesias.
So there wasn't any proper formal introduction. You never picked up an instrument. Someone just heard you singing, and they were just like, hey, come sing for my band.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
Yeah. I grew up with a kid, so he kind of knew I had this outgoing personality, and I think that's at first that's what they were looking for, is someone who could take charge as front man and have energy and be the eccentric person, because a lot of them were very shy and kind of more to themselves. So I think initially the draw to me being in their band or in that music scene with all those guys was the fact that I kind of wasn't afraid to just put myself out there. I don't think it had a lot to do with my music ability, because there wasn't a lot, but just the kind of go-get attitude. And I was always listening to new bands, and I was always trying to figure out what I can do to get better as a frontman, as a musician, and just a member of that scene.
I'm really glad you referenced your go-getter personality, your outgoing nature, because my next question for you was regarding, at least as long as I've known you, you've also done many different ventures, both on the business side of the music spectrum, or even sort of startup DIY things, like College Battle and Chegg campaigns come to mind.
Yeah.
Were those sort of just a means to an end for a personal journey, all for music, or were they actual career choices that you were maybe thinking of, as opposed to just being a vocalist in a band?
Yeah.
Or was it all just feeding into that one dream?
I'd say I was a musician, a frontman. Five Characters was my priority. But as you know, when you're in a band, anything you can do additionally to get eyes on your project or the networking potential was probably the short answer to that question. But on the back end, I always used to tell people, if I'm not on stage, I want to own the stage, I want to be behind the stage, I want to be selling banners across the stage. I always saw live shows or just the music community in general as a way not only to do some good in the world, but also try to figure out other ways to generate resources so that you are able to continue that journey. Because I grew up when, I remember when there was no internet, there was, when AOL came out, it was like, oh, dial-up. It took 5 hours to download a song. Now, the new Drake CD comes out and everyone's got it on their phones. So I was in that generation of trying to crack the code of how do we solve the problem. If Robby still wants to be in a band as he grows up, how's he going to pay his bills? How is he going to make sure that he can continue the dream? There's a lot of artists out there that just want to be artists. My first piece of advice is go get a job. You know what I mean? Because you need money to get your paintbrushes going. You need money to, if we're going with that analogy as an artist, you need to buy the materials. You need to do that. If you're just sitting at home thinking about how you want to be an artist, that time can be spent helping that, but it also takes everything to help that. And that's why I was involved so much on the front end, back end. That Chegg tour taught me a lot. There's a lot of money going around in that network. They're paying good money to access those college kids, and that's why they're doing so well. They have access to 6 million students at the drop of a hat. So would I be crazy not to get involved in that? What if I wanted to drop a new album to 6 million students? No one can do that except for Chegg right now. And that's the draw I saw on that network. And there's great people. It's a lot of ex-musicians who have grown up. They have kids. They have 9-to-5s. They have jobs. So even though I wasn't on stage with, let's say, like the music community, I was still in good company. And that's why I chose to work with, College Battle and the sponsors that they had.
One of your self-proclaimed greatest qualities, maybe your crowning greatest quality, is that
I say it myself, or
you have told me
behind closed doors
that your best quality is your flexibility. You are aware of many hats. You can walk into a room with a suit on and own that, and go out of that room, go to a bathroom, change into like sunglasses, backwards hat.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of these different things. How did you develop this sort of just jack of all trades kind of like entrepreneurial spirit? What do you attribute to that developing in your life?
It's a good question. I think this is perfect why we're doing this right now, because me. This isn't the first time we've met, and a lot of my life's greatest questions, like why am I like this, or why am I doing this? And this interview is another reason I wanted to start this, because it makes me kind of focus on what exactly makes this tick, so that I can, for lack of better words, bottle it up and share it. But as in an aspect to wearing the many hats, I made a comment to you when we first got here. Like, I almost felt like I had uniforms. So when I was on stage with 5 characters, it's like, okay, Arson Scott Girls t-shirt, glasses, San Francisco hat. And you'll see in all the videos, that's kind of how it rolls. I didn't do it on purpose. It's just that's where I felt comfortable, And, there are times where I'm in meetings, and I'm part of a $100,000 pitch to, try to do a huge event, in like a downtown San Jose or something like that. You have to be able to wear many hats, go into many different scenes, but at the same time, I think I credit it to just being myself. I'm just able to do that, whether it be the way I was raised or just the way I take in information. But I never wanted to walk in the room and feel like the uncomfortable person. So maybe at an early age, I went out of my comfort zone. When I was in high school, there's footage of this somewhere, but I was in the Black Student Union. And when I told that to someone, they're like, what the fuck, you don't belong there, whatever. It's like, oh, really? Well, ask them. So I belonged more to the Black Student Union than someone with a closed mind, what they thought that was about. You know what I mean? So that was in high school. So now I'm in the real world. I just apply the same lessons in the same state of mind. Subconsciously, really, I just really am here to make sure stuff happens, good things happen. And if you're good and there's a good community involved, how can it not? So that's kind of what it is. It's just be yourself, go into the room, and then just play it how it goes.